So it's bordered by the patella tendon on the medial side.
I realized pretty early on I wanted to go into a surgical residency, and I gravitated towards orthopedics because I was an athlete in college. Orthopedics, they don't only treat athletes, they kind of treat people in every walk of life that are just trying to live pain-free, and I thought that was a really rewarding thing to do.
As soon as I saw hand surgery, I realized it was a really wonderful and diverse specialty that mixes both orthopedic surgery and plastic surgery, and I really enjoyed that sort of intricate nature of hand surgery and microsurgery.
So I became interested in foot and ankle really as I was going through all the rotations here at HSS during my residency. What I really particularly was drawn to in foot and ankle was the ability to combine all parts of orthopedics in one subspecialty.
Orthopedics is a huge field, and within that huge field there are lots of subspecialties. Once you pick orthopedics, it opens up huge doors, and now you have to start thinking about, do you like to work with kids? Do you like to work with older patients? Do you want to work with athletes? Orthopedics has lots of great things about it. There is the surgical aspect, so you get to work with your hands if you're creative. Surgery is something you're going to be drawn to. But orthopedics and most medical specialties also have other dynamic parts to them, including teaching, which is a wonderful part of being an academic orthopedic surgeon. There's also things like publishing and research, and that's a whole nother third part of the job that I really love and enjoy, but they are equally as important, and so you can pick which one you want to focus on, and that makes this a really flexible field for most people.
I think one of the powerful things about, and one of the important things about continuing to have improved and increased female representation in orthopedic surgery is that it makes our field more approachable to the next generation of people in college and in medical school who are considering specializing in medicine. That's one of the reasons I feel strongly to interact with and engage with students along the way through programs that we do here, like the Peri Outreach Program.
Peri Initiative at HSS, which I think has been going on for 10 years now, is a very exciting Saturday morning, and these high school girls who don't really know each other all get dressed in their scrubs, and they start the day with an introduction to being safe in the OR, and then they actually go to our bioskills lab where they do mini surgeries, whether it's suturing pig's feet or fixing sawbones. Just get a feel for what it's like to be a surgeon.
My first experience was actually on the service with Jo Hannafin. She was one of the 12 sports attendings here at the time, and she was just an icon. But when I walked in and I saw this incredibly wonderful, caring woman who took exquisite care of her patients with her incredibly kind demeanor, it was not always what I had pictured as far as an orthopedic surgeon, but I quickly came to realize that she personified the compassion and the skill that it really took to be a truly fantastic orthopedic surgeon.
We're also really lucky at HSS to have a very strong, relative to the nation, female representation in the faculty members. We are obviously continuing to always try to improve in terms of the diversity of our institution, but when we compare ourselves to national numbers, we're doing quite well. And in our residency program, similarly, while again we'd love to see these numbers continue to increase, whereas only about 15% of residents in the country are females, we're closer to 25% at our program here, and that's really been consistent over many years, even from when I was a resident.
The rate of women going into orthopedics has not grown as quickly as we would have liked. Over the last decade, it started at around 9%. Now it's, I think, up at around 11 or 12%. Women in orthopedics now, board-certified orthopedic surgeons now represent about 10% of the board, whereas 15, 20 years ago, it was really only 3% of the board. The women are just not applying in the numbers we'd like, and so we have to look at why that is. Part of the reason that we think that it's not growing is women aren't thinking about it. They are dismissing it before they get to the point of applying. So there are a lot of myths about why women don't go into orthopedics. A lot of the myths were that there was a bias in the system. That actually turns out not to be true. There have been some very good studies that show that the percentage of women getting into the residency reflects the percentage that are applying.
Common myth is that men go into orthopedic surgery more often because you need to be strong to be an orthopedic surgeon. We do use power tools and mallets and hammers and saws. However, the way that we use those is really more about technique than strength, certainly.
And the number 2 one was that the quality of your life would be insufficient to be able to have a family and be an orthopedic surgeon at the same time.
My husband and I got married after my 2nd year, and we're trying to figure out when the best time was to build our family and to have kids. And I received an excellent piece of advice from one of the female residents, and she said, there's never a right time, and you're always going to be busy in your practice, and whether you decide to do it during residency, fellowship, or in practice is really up to you and your partner. And when you two are ready to have children, that's when you should have children. And I had my first child at the very beginning of my 4th year, and my second child sort of at the beginning of my 5th year, and then I was pregnant with my 3rd during my fellowship.
I had a baby during my 4th year of residency. I was on a research block when my son was born, and I was able to schedule that with the help of some of my co-residents.
You know, here I was definitely in love with my college sweetheart, knew that I wanted to have a family and how was I going to juggle it. And I think once I finished my training, I then only worked part-time, so made it work because I loved it enough to give it my all and then have time to raise my young children. But I would also say that a lot of women make it work with having help at home, but I think residency programs are more receptive to knowing that the women that come through their programs should have time for maternity leave.
And what I have found is that orthopedics has been one of the most mom-friendly fields that I could ever imagine. And at the end of the day, it has turned out that I have been more successful at staying in my field of choice and having children, and I have 3 children. The biggest thing you want as someone with a family is you want flexibility, and your ability to change your schedule and not see patients one day is much easier if you are in a field that is procedure-based.